What's up guys, Wade Gracia here. This being our first video, I just want to say thank you for being here and thank you for watching. First and foremost, the safety procedures and protocols, as whether or not this is something you usually learn during an apprenticeship, but I know that so many people out there right now are just like raw dogging it and like, which is fine, Now, as far as bloodborne pathogen prevention goes, what it really comes down to is just being hyper aware of where you are placing your hands and what you're touching, what you're grabbing, where you're placing your work equipment. You can't just, if I'm using a tattoo machine, I can't just put it on the table over there, you know what I mean? Everything has to be contained in a certain area, in designated areas, so they don't contaminate others, Far too many times I catch people, improperly using gloves, They'll put on gloves, someone might look at them like, oh yeah, that guy's being, safe, wearing gloves, blah, blah, blah. But he's fucking touching everything, going up to the, getting up on station, grabbing this chair, grabbing this chair. Like, you can't do that, you gotta properly take, every time you're done working, you gotta take your gloves off, throw them in the trash, and then do what you need to do after it. But everything you need, everything that gets touched has to be wrapped. First and foremost, gloves. Don't be grimy, put them on. And now that we have our gloves on, we can sanitize or disinfect our work area and work trays and stuff like that. Now, before doing so, you obviously want to put gloves on. This is because this has a lot of strong chemicals in it, including virucidal, bactericidal, pseudomonacidal, tuberculocidal, fungicidal, all the cidals. It's used to disinfect a bunch of stuff. It's used primarily in hospitals and those type of settings. But anyways, do not use this. It even says on here, do not use this baby wipe. But I can see why this can be misconstrued as a baby wipe dispenser for obviously. Okay. Well, just gonna. Now you want to always wipe down your workstation, anywhere where the tattoo machine or your hands are going to be placed. In this case, I'm going to be using fake skin for future demonstration, but so my work area would be this area on top of this table. So this whole area would be disinfected, then wrapped up. Now this grip right here, so you definitely want to use, if it's not disposable, then it has to be autoclaved. Always has to be autoclaved. Has water in it. Just distilled water. Now this is my larger squeeze bottle. It's got distilled water, mostly distilled water, and maybe like a dash of green soap. I like to use very minimal green soap. I don't like to use too much. Some people like to use a lot of green soap. I think it's unnecessary, and like people always wonder, oh, I don't know why my stencil's going away so fast. Like, dude, have you checked your green soap? Like, you're pretty much erasing that after like one wipe, like, come on. Anyways, okay, so now we just have to Maticide wipe our work tray. So I'm gonna get a new wipe. Okay. I'm running out of wipes, I gotta get some new ones. Okay. Okay, so now that the tray is disinfected, it's ready to be wrapped so we can place our tools and gear and our work stuff. But before we do that, what do we need? Gloves. Okay, so now that we have our gloves on, we can wrap up the tray. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I went ahead and wrapped the squeeze bottles and cut out some paper towels. I figured I didn't have to record that. It's pretty self-explanatory. But anyways, I wanted to talk about the machine and how we wrap that. I think that's very important. I mentioned earlier that if you do not have disposable grips, if you don't use disposable grips, then you must autoclave your grip. That's very important. You can't just be going around using the same grip without autoclaving it. Now to wrap the machine here, it's very important to cover as much surface area as you can. Some people like to use regular plastic wrap. I like to use this film, this barrier film adhesive. It tends to work awesome. There you go. There you go. Okay, so now that we have the tray disinfected and fully prepared, now we're gonna go back to our work area. In this case, it's gonna be this armrest right here. This is where I'm gonna be working on using the fake skin or whatsoever. Sometimes it'll be a part of the chair, or sometimes it'll be different sort of armrest. You know, anywhere where you're gonna be tattooing, that's where you're gonna have to disinfect and make sure you cover. So many cases I've worked in shops where people just like, you know, cover the armrest and they'll think they'll be okay, and they'll like be working on this shoulder area, but like not be covering the couch, not the couch, but the backrest of the of the seat that the client is sitting on, you know, and then you just see all these like marks of like these smear marks of ink and like ink splatters, and it's just disgusting, you know, like it's gross, you know, it's other people's blood, and yeah, it's just gross, you know. So make sure that all of those surface area of the area that you're going to be tattooing on is going to be covered and disinfected and covered. Okay, so now that I have this armrest disinfected, I'm going to take the green soap and sort of give it a little sprinkle there. This is again just so that the plastic film has something to stick onto and attach to. Now we can add our ointment here. Now this ointment can be anything from Aquaphor, Vaseline, there's all kinds of other brand names out there in the tattoo industry. In this case, I'm using Tattoo Caviar. I love it. It smells so good. Like sometimes I just want to eat it. I don't know. I can't be the only one. But anyways, alright guys. So now we're gonna lay out our tattoo needles, or in this case, cartridges. So I have 7 laid out here. 7 different ones. I won't use every single one for every single tattoo. Very rarely I'll have every single one laid out here, usually for like a really big job, but in this case I'm just going to tell you what they are and just show you what I have in my arsenal pretty much. Okay, so for the first one is the 3-round liner right here. It's pretty much a typical liner. super fine. Okay, then the next is a 7-round liner. Then we have a little bit thicker. We have a 18-round liner right here. Next, I have a 18-round shader. So this is what I use to like make really thick lines, even though it's a shader. I'll go over that later on. But so here I have a 7-round mag, or 7 curve mag, you might say. Next we have the 13 curved mag, or 13 round mag, and then a 23 curved mag. So yeah, this is typically what I have in my arsenal right here. So